Lady Mage presents holders 66 through 70. The Holder of Greed, holder number 66. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls themselves the Holder of Greed. If a look of ravenous hunger comes over them, run from the institution, for if you don't, appropriately enough, you will be eaten alive in the most painful way possible. They were hungry. However, if a look of tired want comes over them, they will take you to a cell in a corridor that wasn't there before. The walls will be made of fine silver and gold, but don't touch it, lest they devour your soul. As you walk, if at any time you hear the sounds of coins jingling, stop and yell quickly, "All that glistens is not gold!" If it continues, you're damned for all eternity, and there's no point in running. However, if it stops, continue. Eventually you will come to a gilded door. The worker will open it and close their eyes as you enter. As you enter, the door will close behind you. Inside is an exquisite palace crafted in ivory and gold and wonders that no mortal man has ever built or conceived. Don't dwell too long, as if you do, the world will open up under you and you will be eternally trapped in a world of filth and squalor. If you continue, the palace around you will slowly and increasingly drip blood, until a torrent of blood rains on you. Continue and never look back, and don't stop. Eventually the blood will stop, and you will be in a room filled with gold bricks and treasure. Sitting on the throne of platinum will be a corpse, to which will respond only one question. What do they lust for? It will stand up and begin telling of every want, every desire, every theft. If you manage to keep your sanity through this one, the corpse will motion you towards the treasure when it finishes its story. However, do not take any gold or treasure at all. Instead, look for a small copper coin inscribed in an unknown language. The second you touch it, you'll be back in the institution, as if nothing happened, with the coin in your hand. That coin is object 66 of 538. It is worth both nothing and everything. Holder number 67. The holder of the cosmos. No, we're not getting a Katamari. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. Get to the front receptionist's attention and ask to visit someone who calls themselves the Holder of the Cosmos. They will look you up and down. If he mutters and walks away, stay in place. He will return momentarily. Upon his arrival, he will unlock a trap door beneath his desk and motion you to follow. He will lead you down an ancient, creaking staircase made of wooden planks. It remains somehow suspended in an impossibly large room, the sides or the bottom which you will not be able to fathom. The only light will be from the quickly receding entryway. Vast hulking shapes lumber in the darkness. I recommend you don't make any noises louder than the squeaking of the stairs. The guide will remain only a few steps ahead of you, but the oppressive darkness makes his features unclear. You will be descending the stairs for what seems like an eternity. During this time, do not let your thoughts wander. Focus only on your objective, the keeper of the cosmos. As you sink further into the blackness, wooden planks swaying beneath your feet, your guide's form might seem to shift. This is not a trick of your eyes. If he stops at any time, throw yourself off the stairs immediately, and the eternity of falling would be preferable to his torment. However, should he continue to move, you will eventually feel the wind pick up. Far below, the tops of trees will become visible. Above your head, a vault of stars and clouds. To your sides, a vast and unimpeded horizon, save for one structure far to your right. As you descend further, you can see it's a mansion with a small dirt road leading from it. This part of the descent is incredibly peaceful and will last for several hours. Enjoy it, but do not, on any circumstances, look back from where you came. The rickety staircase will collapse and you will plummet to your death. Eventually you will reach the bottom of the stairs. They will have deposited you in a thickly wooded forest, a few yards from the dirt road. Your guide will stop moving. This time it's okay. In the sparse shafts of moonlight fluttering down between the trees, you will notice he has changed considerably. Where once stood a man, now stands a hellish, hulking beast. He will begin to turn. You must run! The staircase you already descended has disappeared. Your only choice is the road. The demon is slow, but he's stubborn. He will not relent. Run. Run until your lungs burn and your chest heaves. Run until your throat is slick with blood. Until you cannot run any longer. Give up hope. Fall to your knees. Weep. You will feel the demon's breath at your heels, and you will mumble a prayer in the dirt road as you see your life flash before your eyes. At that moment, as you've lost all hope, a gunshot will roar from the void in the darkened forest. The demon at your back will have been slain. The next moment is crucial. No matter how winded you are, you must stand up and immediately say, "Who is their enemy?" Heavy breathing optional. If you wait for a split second too long, you will be blown to bits in a similar fashion to the demon. However, if you are fast enough, an elegantly dressed gentleman on a horse will trot out of the darkness a few steps from down the road. He appears rather young and is holding an ornately crafted 18th century pistol in his right hand. He has several large tomes strapped in his saddlebags of his horse, and bits of script in foreign language are visibly pasted in a fashionable way to various bits of his clothing. He will approach slowly, making no move to dismount, but interested in your appearance. You must hold his gaze until he disappears in the opposite direction. Following this exchange, your exhaustion will suddenly catch up to you, and you will find it increasingly difficult to wake up. Give in to your weariness and just sleep. You will awake the next day in your bed, clutching a rough piece of paper. On it are the words, in elegant script, "You are a fool." Yeah, that man was the holder of the cosmos, and he still holds object 67 of 538. He defends the cosmos from their revival. Now that he knows your intentions, he will do anything to stop you. There is, however, an alternate option. You must already bear an item known as the Widowmaker for this to work. Instead, when you rise, ask the holder not who is their enemy, but instead show him object 186. No, we haven't gotten to that yet. If you do, his eyes will widen in surprise, and he will dismount, and in his hand will be a white, ornate 18th century pistol he used moments previously to save your neck. It is the brother of the Widowmaker, object 186. He will then ride into the distance, soon fading. The holder of cosmos has relinquished Gravebringer, object 67 of 538. You have freed him, but at what cost? For now you must defend the cosmos from their revival in his stead. I never said these holders didn't have weird conditions. Object number 68, the holder of the negative. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you get to the front receptionist's attention, ask to visit someone that calls themselves the holder of the negative. If the receptionist adamantly refuses to help you, immediately turn, leave the institution behind, and take the fastest possible route home. After a fortnight of hiding, you will know if the trackers have found you. However, if the receptionist merely nods at you with a stony expression and gestures you to follow, do so. He will lead you to a seemingly innocent-looking hospital room and leave. As soon as the door locks, push the bed aside to reveal a decrepit wooden trap door underneath. Use the bed to block the door. The clock is ticking and the sentinels are already on their way. Open the trap door to find a dusty and grimy gray metal coffin in a shallow pit dug in the floor. Open the locks on the side and lift the lid. If the coffin is empty, lay yourself inside and close both the trap door and the coffin lid. If there's somebody already in there, well, I would recommend trying to snap your own neck before the coffin's previous resident does. You must lie inside the coffin for exactly 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Until this time, do not open the lid. What would come to pass if you did is beyond description of mortal men, and nobody told me, so I can't tell you. When the required time has passed, you may knock twice on the metal lid. If there is no answer, knock 3 times more, or thrice more. If the coffin trembles slightly in response, you may push the lid off. If the coffin remains silent, you know your life expectancy is about a minute at best. Push the lid aside to emerge in what seems like a dark, blasted remains of a bizarre underground machine shop. The blotched ochre metal walls and the gray dusk over the disengaged, quiet computing devices speak in their own way about the hundreds of thousands of battles which were planned, organized, and miserably lost in the very same room that you're now sitting in a coffin. As alien, as intricate as the machinery may be, don't dally. Rise from your feet and reach your right hand out to find a wall. Fumble around until you find a metal lever sticking out of it. It's roughly at your shoulder level. If the room starts to emit an increasingly loud whirring, do not panic. Instead, call out sternly into the darkness, "It's the last piece of knowledge we require." If the whirring dies down, continue your search. If it doesn't, the machinery will engage their last integration routine with you as their target. When you find the switch, throw it. The last operational generator will start up with a painful whine, powering little else than a few good light fixtures around the floor. In the core of it will be a dim room, and you will see a large, brass-colored, impossibly complex mechanical device which closely resembles a crossover between an opulent metal throne and a Victorian-era style life support system. Amidst the zigzagging tubes, pipes, valves, cogs, and plates, you will see a giant, inhumanly frail corpse, barely clinging to its life. As intimidating as the throne may be, enter the creature's presence in a matter-of-fact way and utter the query, "Who scattered them for the first time?" Your question sparks a new light in his milky gray eyes, and with the spite and frustration of countless generations in his raspy, mechanically amplified voice, he'll recite to you all the stories, all the tales of vain heroism, every broken union of all of the heart-wrenchingly disappointing failures of all those who came before you. His contagious despair will punch you through the skin, slither past your flesh, and pierce through your bones. But take heed not to lose your focus. He is still their slave, and his corrupted side will readily consume you if given the opportunity. He will then tell you of the first few who knew of their convergence, how they scattered the objects and broke their unholy union, and made those first fail and perish. When he's done, he will slowly and painfully extend his hand out to you within the metal shell. Do not take his hand. Instead, cross your arms over your chest and exclaim, "Your flawed routines are not mine to embrace." Leaning against one of the mysterious devices is a thin, two-pronged metal staff. Grab it, and using all the power you can possibly muster, drive it through the only vital part of his body, his head. His death will be swift, when his rotten body and infernal device lie silent. Reach inside the metal shell protecting the body and fumble around the inner workings of the machine. As soon as your hand hits a part of pulsing heat, yank it out. It should come off easily. Retreat as fast as you can back into the zinc coffin. You've killed the only entity which upheld order in the place, and it won't be long before the room is going to unmake itself and crumble into the void. In other words, congratulations, you've killed a load-bearing boss. Slam down the lid, close your eyes, and if you're lucky, you will near instantly drift off to sleep. When you wake up, you will wake up in your own home, in your own bed, tightly hugging a warm chunk of metal on your chest. It would be wise to get rid of the coffin around you at the earliest opportunity. It tends to invoke awkward questions, nothing too serious. The corrupted golden gear you have, though, is Object 68 of 538. You know now how your predecessors failed. It is now your responsibility to make sure their errors are not repeated. Holder number 69, the holder of the mind. If you have one left after all of these, for that matter. In any town, in any country, go to any mental institution or rehab clinic or rehabilitation clinic. Approach the front desk and ask to visit someone who calls themselves the holder of the mind. They will form a look of reluctance on the employee's face, which they will hold just long enough that it is barely visible. You will be then led down a hallway leading to a flight of stairs. The attendant will leave you at this point. Go up the stairs. They will go on for what seems like miles. If your step falters at any time, or you take the time to rest even a moment respite, your focus will quickly lose clarity until it fades entirely. If your consciousness returns thereafter, you may find yourself in whatever place you call home, and the institution will have essentially vanished from existence. If this is the case, thank whatever entity you wish that the least likely outcome came to pass. If your consciousness does not return, then you are still fortunate you did not awaken to find yourself where your more ill-fated predecessors arrived. When you at last reach the apex of the staircase, you will find yourself in a dilapidated hallway, appearing as some portion of a high-rise building. The wall to your left will have many doors. Do not open any of them under any circumstances, regardless of what sensations you feel urging you to do so. These feelings are scarcely more than base trickery. The doors restrain segments of your psyche mercifully shut away. To free them now is a grave mistake. The wall on your right is composed entirely of glass. It's a window, basically. Looking out its enormous window reveals whatever place you were born in, although entirely empty.